It was seen as someone else's problem or something for specialist agencies like CBM to deal with. This situation is changing slowly but surely. To help develop technical skills and knowledge on inclusive development, CBM recently formed a new partnership with the University of Melbourne's Nossal Institute for Global Health. This exciting new partnership is planning a range of capacity building, research and related activities, so please stay tuned. And we've left some materials out how you can find out a bit more of this up the back. It's also heartening to see AusAid, World Vision Australia and the International Women's Development Agency join the growing number in the aid sector who are recognising that disability is a central part of the global poverty equation. They are realising what CBM has been saying for a long time now, that there's a lot to do and that it can be done. But again, we cannot do it alone. To help focus attention and action on this issue nationally, CBM partnered with peak disability and development bodies in 2007 to form a national network called the Australian Disability and Development Consortium, or the ADDC. It was launched at Parliament House, Canberra, and with over 300 members has quickly grown to be the largest network in our region focusing on these issues. Last September, the ADDC co-hosted in Canberra the first national conference on disability, disadvantage and development. Interest was so strong it quickly became an international conference with over 20 Pacific, Asian and other countries represented amongst the more than 200 guests. Like this forum, we probably could have had a lot more attendees, such was the interest, but space would not allow. There are many other activities this network has been involved in since forming, and the ADDC Executive Officer, Christine Walton, is here tonight and would love to speak with you after we finish, as would other CBM staff. Interest from the disability and development sectors is being mirrored by action on the ground nationally. Last week we heard Bill Shorten MP speaking at his National Press Club address. He said, "When I left the union movement and came to the disability portfolio in 2007, I was like most Australians, not aware of the entrenched discrimination. I shared the same out of sight, out of mind attitude. Now, he is leading the development of a national disability strategy amongst other assistance for people with disabilities in Australia. And he has become another passionate and effective disability advocate in the mould of Bob McMullen." The challenge now is to link our national focus on disability with the enormous interest and need on our doorstep. For Australia to be a real leader and an agent for change in our region, just as we have with HIV/AIDS and other development issues. This need will only increase with a global financial crisis. Now, I was going to refer to this as the GFC, but I thought you might have thought I was referring to the threat posed by Geelong Football Club, which I'm sure all Melburnians feel greatly. But I digress. Our global leaders and media seem most alarmed by the impact this crisis is having on Western economies and on the fact that people in the world's richest countries are losing jobs and houses, that banks are failing and are wondering what the G20 and others can do to save us all. Precious little attention is being given to the fact that harsher economic times will have greatest impact on the poorest countries and those most vulnerable within these countries. We're already seeing this happen. So this is a time for Australia and Australians to reach out to developing nations rather than put up fences. We need connectors, not dividers. And it's fantastic to hear Kevin Rudd and Foreign Minister Stephen Smith recently honouring pre-election commitments for Australia to increase its aid from current levels up to 0.5% of gross national income. The corresponding challenge is to ensure this increased assistance translates to development activities that are fully inclusive, as Bob and Charlotte have rightly pointed out. So we've heard about how change is happening at a national and a global level. But what about at the community and the individual level? Because this is really what matters most, making the global personal. As I said earlier, we need to become more aware ourselves about poverty issues like disability, then make others aware. In fact, tonight is really just the beginning. Together with partner agencies and campaigns and with yourselves, CBM Australia plans to expand our existing community education messages and activities. We have the information, networks and commitment to reach out to others, but we cannot do it alone. After tonight, for example, who else will you be speaking to about the issues which have touched you? Who else can you touch? How else can you get involved? What opportunities are there in your workplace, school, university, church or community group to raise awareness about disability and poverty? If you're sponsoring children or contributing in other ways to development activities and anti-poverty campaigns, perhaps you need to be asking them, what are you doing about disability? Is your local MP aware of the MDGs, or Millennium Development Goals, disability and other poverty issues? Do they need reminding? What we're saying is that we can all become advocates and catalysts for change, as Bob pointed out. CBM Australia is not a particularly large agency, but we have seen that we can have a multiplier effect by partnering with others, such as tonight, recognising that we cannot do it alone. As we've seen already this decade with issues like climate change and campaigns like Make Poverty History, change is possible, especially when we work together. We can make a difference. Change is not only possible, but it's actually a moral imperative for all of us, not only because of the enormous need on our doorstep, not only because Australia is a wealthy country, or not only because it can be done, but also because it is the right thing to do, to quote from AusAid's disability strategy. There's a lot more to do, and CBM's byline is, together we can do more. I've left out details of how to get in touch and find out more, so please contact us before we contact you. Finally, I believe Rob Francis, who organised tonight's event, is going to finish with a call to action, and I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Rob, World Vision, Rose, who's had to come up here, I think, almost against her will a few times to help out technologically, International Women's Development Agency, AusAid, and all involved in organising this fantastic One World Forums, because I think they're a great initiative and a really practical way to connect us on these important issues. And finally, just a quick thanks to Jim. I think there's a saying in Hollywood, don't work with children, animals, or Jim Stallard, because I think he's quite a scene stealer and quite an MC. So I thank you for your attention and look forward to discussion and questions now.